what's this got to do with Clarence Thomas? Oh, everything, because it's all connected. So listen to the whole share, because this one's going to be a doozy. Peace and blessings, family. Sister Ajali. Now, I'm not going to pretend when it comes to Clarence Thomas that I have any respect for him whatsoever. He is a groveling Procyon loater of epic proportions. And he don't give a damn. He don't give a damn because one of the things about the satanic elites is they have employees. And the more melanin you have in your content, the more completely mentally destroyed you have to be in order to be integral to perpetuating the hell that the satanic elites must have in order to maintain their control. So Clarence Thomas has been in a heap of trouble recently. And they're just throwing it at him from everywhere. So more trouble for Clarence Thomas. SCOTUS Justice has been claiming up to $100K a year income from real estate firm managed by his really Sasquatch-looking wife, Guinea, and, his wife's sister that has not existed since 2006. That's just one part of what they have been funneling his way. Another one, Clarence Thomas will now change his financial disclosure to include Georgia house bought by billionaire Republican mega donor Harlan Crow, where his mom, 94, lives rent-free. Now, Harlan Crow is a huge part of, that's what supposedly started the whole thing. But I'm thinking about the Dalai Lama and that despicable event involving the young boy. And like, that's not what they always do. When you're up at that level, you are participating in all of the filthiness that these people use to control managerial society. Now, you got super managers and then you got all the, grunts who they're called managers, but they're just regular folks, really. I'm not saying they're not guilty in some regard, but it's the guys on the top who make those decisions that affect whole populations. Those are the ones they are sending a firm warning to, just like the statue in Jersey City. This super creeptoid monstrosity, that's not a young girl's hand in front of her mouth, letting her know you need to shut up and keep our little secrets going, okay? So, and these dudes have ways of letting the macro level of society know that you're messing up. You're not doing what we want. This is a Ferris wheel in China, which has China needs to get an Oscar for how their entire citizenry has been brainwashed into performing all kinds of Edward Bernays fiascos, feats, and this society they're really messed up. They are thoroughly messed up, but they're messed up in a way that makes them so desperate that they will do whatever to convince the world of stuff that would make William Casey say, oh, finally, everybody believes the lies. Good, now we can get busy. But they're not able to get as busy as they want, as quickly as they want, because we're, for the most part, not out here rioting, even though this is what they want. Which gets me back to this photo from a flyer posted in a community college, and you don't have to read that. I'm just going to capsulize it for you, which is, it is informing. These are students, young, and it's a mostly black college. It's instructing the reader on why, when, and where is perfectly plausible to attack cops. I am not pro-cop. I ain't no can dance and will dance for biscuits Owens at all. I want us to separate. I want our own nation. However, because we have the devil in charge, we do need safety maintenance. Even though I know the cops aren't working for you and me. They aren't working on our behalf, black you and me. But at the same time, the thin gauze of civilization, that is a weapon on our part. It always has been, because the European and those derived from Europeans always have to justify their tyranny by swearing that they're really the civilized ones. And so we have to call them out on it, thereby to just let chaos ensue. Who you think they're going to be funding? Who you think they're going to be giving money to? But the confused and vulnerable youth out there who have been talked into, in hip hop, just singing and rapping about whatever depraved thing will get them a little coin in their bank accounts. I had posted a meme where in Chernobyl, I don't know if it was Vasily Nesterenko, there's a lot of people involved in that cover-up, but one of the scientists involved had said that for the World Health Organization and the UN in general overall to pay off anybody in any country $10,000, that's all it would take. And you got people doing all kinds of stuff that they would never, and because most people do not see the larger connected picture with everything, they're just thinking they're being smart. They're getting paid a little bit of extra. And so this teen takeover, I don't believe it for a second. Do I believe that stuff happened? But it's too pat. With these racists out there, and I'm not just talking about the individual ones, but I mean in the case of little brother Ralph Yarl, who shot him 2 times in the head. They immediately placed on the front pages of the headlines that, oh, look at all these black people going crazy doing this. And by the way, here are white people shooting white people for coming to their doorbell. Sorry, I'm just done with whiteism altogether, which is ultimately the conclusion they don't want us to reach. And so they got these, like I have a friend through Instagram and also through Dr. Z. He knows him personally, wonderful brother. And he was showing a sign up in Harlem that was inviting the youth to come and get their aggressions out. And I thought, shouldn't they be teaching them how to handle their aggressions? How to, just because you ain't gonna die if you don't get, pop a gasket right there and then. Nobody owns your peace but you. And oftentimes, when you're picking your battles, you realize most battles aren't worth your time and trouble. So, because we're not taking the bait where you got, even Maxine Waters and LeBron James was out there saying, I don't know why we're not rioting. Well, you first, dude. None of these celebrities are going to be out there throwing the first Molotov cocktail. They mean us to do that. That's their reason for being there, because the elites would not have them there unless there was a tacit understanding that they could steer us like we are livestock to whatever they tell us to do. I should have predicted that they would get black people up in the highest realms they allow us to go financially to start recommending that. As soon as I remember a New York Times Korean, I think she was, editor was fired for posting such violent memes. And one of the things she posted was, I don't know why black people aren't burning everything down. No, that's what they want. So here's Lightfoot making excuses for what I know was scripted to begin with, but at the same time, encouraging mayhem. They want to encourage us to think there's going to be no repercussions. We're going to have these elites on our side if we just go out and start randomly expressing our anger. They've been stoking us for just the longest time. This is the introducing real meals. These are the Burger King. This is from Burger King. It's hip. It's here. Forget happy. Burger King launches real meal moods. They're trying to get us into an emotional state, and they've been specifically going after the black man. And in going after the black man, they will wind up appealing to the young black man so that they think everything is an emotional wreck like the Ferris wheel and just become more volatile overall. I'm quite sure, because they had even barbers. Like, what barbers were going to recommend mental health checkups to their customers? And when you see something that is just so across the board, it's being funded. It's being scripted. And the hope it's violence, it's anger, it's bricks planted in protest cities across the U.S. You remember during the George Floyd protests? I don't know, there was so many just protests, and they would have bricks just set up right there, waiting for somebody. Could you please, somebody just crash right on through store windows by throwing these conveniently placed on pallets bricks. So if you go and look up the stories about bricks on pallets, immediately at the top of Google search, Snopes is going to have, no, it's mostly false. But there's picture after picture, and these were the things that were orchestrated. Plus, is this orchestrated? This is a real campaign. And this was also a real campaign. So the whole connection with Harlan Crow, with Clarence Thomas, that's for real. It turns out that the Supreme Court doesn't turn out. I just found out about it. There's no regulation whatsoever on, bribes and, especially if you are seemingly friends. So Clarence Thomas has just been getting massive amounts of money, trips, the same thing that the pharmaceutical companies use to bribe all the elected officials. So this is real because Harlan Crow is a donor, connected with Club for Growth, which is a right-wing rich man's club where they don't want any limits whatsoever on how much donations you could give to any elected official. That will we're regular people already shut out. If you ain't got no money for these dudes, they ain't checking for you, okay? But at the same time, they just want it to be ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous amounts of bribes. And they're in there. We make a mistake thinking that in being on code that all white people are getting along. No, they're in free fall. It's every man for himself. And so these dudes who are connected with Club for Growth, they are gumming up the works. They don't Donald Trump, for DeSantis and all the rest of these sort of things. And for a while Crow was connected with Growth, that's when they were putting cases before the Supreme Court that Clarence was a man because he voted in favor of whatever it was that they were putting up there. The whole scandal, it supposedly was so that they could put restraints on the Supreme Court so that they would have to have limitations on the amount of bribes that they get. Because you know daggone well, just like with the Dalai Lama, there's no way that Clarence Thomas is the only one who's getting kickbacks. But they're going to put him up as a titular poster child because it's not just about Harlan Crow or the Club for Growth. It is about the satanic elites, which is why it was rejected by 2 appeal courts. Based on, reading this, they really twisted their words around. It's the same thing like they did during the pandemic, because ultimately the elites do control these narrow little vectors that they use to reinforce their tyranny. These elites are sending out that warning. There's no riots going on. What's going to do? You see how we manipulated France? And we could always count on the French to get out there, but trust and believe, they want Black you and me to get out there so that immediately they could treat us the way that they were talking about in, I guess, Oklahoma, Montana, whatever. Them sheriffs who were like, we want to bring back the days when we could just lynch Black people. And that's what they want the chaos level to go to, because they need some way to dissipate their pent-up rage, because they have a real hard time staying in one place for very long. That's why they left Europe. And they want that frustration, that just what's the meaning of life, to be vented on Black us. And they need to spread out our inability to recognize Fukushima fallout. There's so much going on with Fukushima. It is off the charts. And there's a latency period where radiation slowly, but on a schedule, has its effect. And that's already here. And it's going to become so unignorable that sooner or later, we're going to be able to put the data together and realize it ain't the jab. It ain't the jab. Otherwise, Biden wouldn't have allowed all Fukushima food in. And I know they're making a beeline for us, but I'm just saying that we are a tour de force of truth-loving righteousness. And that's something that is absolute death to the devil. I don't mean hurting random innocent people, and that's why I'm so glad the Most High, vengeance is his, because he knows. I don't know. You don't know. So we don't have the right to just walk up to random people and cause them harm. But that's what they want us to do. Very much so. Right? Because this country's one after another removing themselves from the dollar. The Catholic Church, the Pope said, the U.S. needs to get on board with the one world government because there's too many people here. The only reason why they had to pretend in the Constitution that people were free was because of Black you and me. Our nature is freedom. That's why we never went along with being slaves until they had to talk us into it with materialism, with just sexual lunacy. And so you can't think beyond your titillations. You can't think beyond your dysfunction. We all have dysfunctions. But you're not homosexual. And you're certainly not transsexual. That's dysfunction. Okay? And so, yeah, they're coming after them. That's what Henry Kissinger warned them about. That's what they did to Black Lives Matter, because Black Lives Matter wasn't effective. And that's what they're doing to, well, the Dalai Lama. He's low-hanging fruit. And as far as the satanic elites are concerned, so is Clarence Thomas. Any of their volunteer Satanists, Procyon Loters, those are they going to take their wrath out on them? And so they're just sending all the world leaders a message. Get on board for the culling. Right? So this article here, Rothschild Dynasty seeking to fulfill Kalergi depopulation agenda. They keep pushing that whole, the world is overpopulated only by jerks. There's more than enough resources and food to feed everybody on the planet. 2 days worth of food every single day. But this is how you make genocide seem hip. It's the new thing to do for the satanic elites. I mean, this is about more than just hauling crow. They even bringing up, I would expect Uncle Thomas to have a Hitler collection. I don't care whatever dictators he has along with that. He worships pink people. He worships them. And so he would want to follow the worst portions of them, just like Can Dance and Does Dance for Butter Biscuits Owens. She was also soft peddling Hitler. I've seen other agents up here get out and start saying, well, you know, Hitler this and Hitler that. I'm like, you need to just stop it. Because what's our plan? Our plan cannot be to out-devil the devil. Because it's all scripted. It's in this, the Turner Diaries, where they get to justify, they get to assuage their white guilt so they could gun us down by having us behave like they think they would behave if they were us. But that's the problem they run into, is injustice, viciousness, cruelty, lawlessness. That's them. That's not us. All right? So what's the plan? That is a viable, legitimate, serious question, because there's no doubt these devils plan on breaking down all the economic systems, anything they could get their little slimy tentacles around. They're going to do their best to rip it apart. But they can't rip apart the truth. They can't rip apart the armor of God. Put that on. Put that on. Now, this little thing I put together, to me, it's annoying as heck. The whole world needs to read this book because I'm just regular folk. But I know that's actually the case. I'm doing this because Black us, we are unlike any other people anywhere on this earth. When we know there is a crisis, we get to work. It's just that I'm like, okay, I got to work through all the beguilement that has been slathered into our minds, and so that we are at different stages of Uncle Thomas. I don't mean that completely. I know you can have Black love. That's why I'm like, I love Negro peons. But going to that Christian church, you're just going to the white man's first MK Ultra programming center. Right? And so you need this book. You need my soaps. You need everything that Dr. Z has to offer, especially his medical consultations, because this healing is going to first start out with the ruined city of your own body. You got to de-addict yourself to all these different foods so that as stuff starts going away, you're good with it. We're good with it. I'm not saying it wouldn't be quite uncomfortable, but I know how to grow food, and we know how to just eat the foods that I grow. We don't need to have processed kitchen crap in our home. Not at all. You got to get to that point, and it's very doable, to the point where you are just enjoying the heck out of yourself. All right? So, furnace of affliction, healing radiation damage to the human body. The more I read, the more I confirm I knew exactly what I was doing with this book. And the more I read, the more I realize there's no other book like it on the planet as comprehensive and instructional so that you know I know what I'm talking about on the whole planet. That is wild to me. Oh my goodness. I just need to get over it because it is what it is, but it's wild. But it's the truth that there are cures for the damage of radiation. That's what they're hiding. That's what I found out with my research that you helped me with because you have donated real small amounts, trust. Okay? Because I could get the spectrogram if it was in large amounts because I want to know what's in our food. Right? You don't do what I do and you're full of crap. Okay? This reality of man-made radiation, non-black people don't want to die either. They don't want to watch their relatives dropping dead from all the afflictions radiation causes. Right? And so that's why the soulless elites, they ain't got nothing but a bunch of dumb, step and fetch it employees. And I don't even mean Uncle Thomas right now. All these cats up on there. All of them. Woo! My goodness gracious. How could they not lose? Straight black family pride is our map to forever. I love you, family. Peace and blessings.